Hi, everyone. Welcome to A New View. I'm Shira, and I'm here with Kim, Lee, and Juji. We are four friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. I came across an interesting concept by author and organizational psychologist Adam Grant, who I love. And he said, "That's just the way I am" is a missed opportunity for growth. Personality is not your destiny, it's your tendency. No one is limited to a single way of thinking, feeling, or acting. Who you become is not about the traits you have, it's about what you decide to do with them. So girls, what does this bring up for you?
I'll answer this one first. Well, obviously, so this brings to mind that our personalities, obviously, they're not set in stone, right? And they can change and evolve as we go through this life. Limited thinking like that, like this is how I am, and that's just what it is. I feel like there are so many missed opportunities with that pattern of thinking. And if we're able to open up and, kind of see a little bit, just be more open and maybe get out of our comfort zone. That's another thing that really is brought up to me with this whole quote is getting out of our comfort zone. And this is a great way to grow and expand and evolve in this life. And with that, I think we can find some wonderful, wonderful opportunities of who we are, discover ourselves, discover our inner selves, discover fascinating things about other people. This is what it brings up for me. Really, mostly it's getting out of your comfort zone is a big one for me.
I was in I guess like a spiritual course at one point, and the teacher had a lesson called How to Love Yourself When You Hate Yourself. And
Wow.
She was kind of a wild one, but what her answer was, like, to make a long story short, is hating yourself is hating the person that everybody else has told you you are. So loving yourself is about getting to know yourself, like launching a really in-depth self-inquiry and understanding that even within that, there might be limitations. Who you are may still be limited in some way, but every single human being on this planet has their unfair advantage, whatever that is. Something that you're good at, something, maybe the thing that you're good at isn't something that you've seen out there in the world already, so it's not like you can imitate someone or somebody didn't pave the way for you, but we all have a quantifiable something that we bring to the table. And leaning into the thing that you bring to the table instead of allowing the outside world and other people to dictate to you who you are is what, like, ultimately leads to our own self-acceptance instead of living for others, because that never works. Like, period, end of sentence. That never, ever, ever works. It's unsustainable, really. It can work for a while, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to consistently dim your shine. We did an episode about that. It's not sustainable to consistently push your needs aside and put other people first. It just can't. You can't live an entire life that way. So to really tap into who you are is really about getting very curious about yourself and not letting anything else or anyone else define you.
That is very, very yummy. Zhuzhi. It's interesting because it's like the minute you sort of set something in stone, it's like, to me, it's such a cop out. And it really depends on the facet of your personality that's not working for you, right? We're not talking about things that are working for, like, you want your creativity to be your destiny or your legacy. Like, you want the good things that you bring to the table to be there forever. But it's when you're stuck, it's when something's not serving you that you have to go, why does that keep happening? Like, you know how much I love the term evolution. Like, you either evolve or you die, right? Like, if you're not questioning, and yeah, there's genetics involved, of course, but we all know, I mean, there's like so much research that shows that just because you were handed something genetically does not mean that you can't change it. You can totally change it. And it really all starts up here. It's all about, again, like I'm saying, like, is that working for me? Like, I've had plenty of situations that I now realize were me just being in denial, which is my favorite little acronym. Don't even notice I am lying. Where I was just lying to myself about, like, you know, life being just so rainbows and unicorns, when deep down, like, something, I was stuck. I was so stuck. And one of the areas I was very stuck in was in my finances. And it's very easy to, when you're with somebody, whether it's a spouse or a roommate or whatever, to blame other people, which I did for a very long time. But when you take responsibility and go, I'm screwing this up time and time again, like, what is the pattern here? What am I tending to do that I can now change? And so I changed, as you know, I changed a lot of things in my life, but one of the very basic ones was how I handle my finances. And I'm in such a better place now. And it just feels amazing and freeing.
Oh, I love that. Can I read you guys something that I read? Gabor Mate said, "What we call the personality is often a jumble of genuine traits and adopted coping styles that do not reflect our true self at all, but the loss of it."
Wow.
Yeah, major. Wow. Yes, the loss
This
of it.
actually makes me think of my mom, because you know, she had a hard life with my dad. You know, you guys know my dad was a severe alcoholic at one time, and my mom, you know, has lost homes, has not been able to like feed us when we were young. Like, it was very hard for her to raise 3 children with a husband like him, with this, you know, disease. And when I hear her talk about her childhood, like, I actually always thought my mom had a really tough childhood because she was raised extremely poor. Like, her parents, very, very poor. They escaped to the Holocaust. They came over here with nothing. Like, so I always kind of had this picture of her life as if it was really bad. But when she talks about her childhood growing up in Manhattan, she always has nothing but good things to say. Like, she remembers a really good childhood. Like, she's like, I had everything I needed. And she goes, I just remember I was pretty happy. And I was like, oh. And then she talked about her friends and things. And I'll see pictures of her when she was in her 20s. She looked so happy. Like, she looks like this person that I don't really know today, because she's become a bit hardened over the years, like dealing with just trying to survive with 3 children. I mean, it's tough. Like, she had a tough time until my dad finally, you know, became sober. And all of those experiences like really hardened her. So when I hear about this person she was, and, oh, I had fun, I was happy, you know, I loved doing all these different things. And like, today she's very different. She doesn't do much. And if you compared her to my dad, like, my dad is very like hard on his sleeve, loving, warm, nurturing, will do anything for anybody, so nice to talk to. My mom is a bit more cold, and she admits it. She fully admits it. She's like, you'd almost think she doesn't really like people. Like, she's just a bit cold. And when you warm up to her, she's great, you know, but you got to warm up to her. And, you know, what that personality definition that I just read, I just think of her, because I think of like coping styles. and how she's chosen to let all of those hard times, she's hardened because she was coping. So it's just become a part of her personality, is like to protect, to have this wall up, to not, be less trusting, to, it's a protection thing with her. So, but it's really sort of become like it shaped her personality. Like I see it, and you just you wouldn't define her as warm. Let's just say it's as simple as that. Where I pride myself on being very nurturing and warm and welcoming. Like I actually really love that about my personality. But it's not lost on me that when I was younger, this personality of being very lovey to everybody, and Juji, on the heels of what you were saying, like shifting my personality and molding it because it's what I thought others wanted me to be like. So it's very interesting. Like I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately, because I definitely feel I'm a people pleaser, and I definitely feel like responsible for other people's feelings and helping to make sure they have a good experience, which is not my responsibility. So that's like my journey right now, where I'm at is like, okay, I love this personality of mine, but where did it come from? Like Gabor Mate said, when you're young and you're protecting yourself and wanting to soothe your pain, there's this adaptation. It's not really who you are. So right now I'm literally in this place of figuring out and dissecting, like, okay, I really love having this personality I have, but how much of it is it really me? Like, is it really me, or is it my past that has created all of this? And now, I know what makes me feel good, but anyway, I'm just in the middle of this journey right now with, you guys are helping me with this, trying to just dissect, like, do I love being this way? Do I want to continue to be this way? How do I want to shift and change so that I'm happier? I'm feeling less responsible for people. I'm pleasing mostly myself first. So I'm just in the middle of this very interesting transitional place right now.
Wow. Well, it's interesting because I'm thinking about what Adam Grant said, that it's our tendency, not our destiny. And sometimes when I think of like destiny, I think of like destination. And then I think about like, we're all going to the same place. Like we're all not going to be here one day. And what a shame it is to not explore more who we really are. Like I also, Kim, like you, I'm like on such a, I have been on such a journey to unlearn things. And when I meditate in the morning, I literally affirm to myself, I say things like, I am healing, I am remembering who I am. And I think Juji just.
I think we lost her, but I'm sure she'll probably pop back on.
Okay. All right. Should I wait to have her come back and then we can edit it? No, okay.
I don't think so.
We'll have to edit it anyway. Anyway.
Or not.
I feel like life is so damn short. And, as I get older, like I'm pushing 60 at this point, it's like, wow, like when do I get to actually be who I always knew I could be? And I absolutely feel like I'm on that journey in so many ways. And there's so much more that awaits me. But just this, like, who do I want to be in these next, we don't know how long we have, but what a shame it is to not explore more about these kinds of things.
Yeah. You know what, Shira, talking about age also makes me feel like what I've been thinking about so much more lately. And I'm in my mid 50s, but, I often now think, so how do I want the next, and it's such a simple sentence, but it's so impactful for me. How do I want the next 20 to 30 years to look like? How am I going to create the next 20 and 30 years to be the best that they can be? Because this is now in my power. And I feel like it didn't used to be. And that's the difference between the old me and the new me, is I was more of an observer of my life and very kind of sedentary in the creation aspect of it. Where today it's it's the complete opposite. And it feels so amazing to know this. It's so empowering to know this. And I sometimes mourn the old me, like, damn, I wish you knew that, little girl, damn, I wish. And this again, and I think on one of our recent episodes also, it's like takes us back to like, teaching kids when they are young. And I know that some parents do, do tell their kids, to be confident and secure, and they instill all of these amazing, great values, and like the world is your oyster, and let's explore everything, and then there are some of us who, not to blame our parents because they didn't know any better and they didn't have it, but never really encouraged anything other than, we were all just doing life.
Right. Accomplish and, go
Yeah.
to college, get a job, get married, have children. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's like, I feel like I'm on this path of doing life more deliberately, definitely more deliberately every day.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I wanted to bring up my mom and what I realized about like her personality, the tendency of her personality changing and morphing and hardening, because I feel like, just like you said, Lee, oh, good, Juju's coming back. That's great. She probably lost power in her snowstorm. Did you lose power?
Everything okay?
Power's not lost, but I don't know. It just dropped off. I'm back.
Yay.
Well, we were just talking about, Lee just made a really wonderful point about like how you can basically choose to thrive, as you get older. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up my mom and the hardening of her personality as she gets older, because to me, like, you can choose to tend to receive love more. And that might take a certain way of being, and when I brought her up and talked about the hardening that I'm seeing, it's actually denying her love, even if it's from a cashier at a supermarket. Like, I have these beautiful little back and forth conversations all the time that like make my day or make me smile or give me a moment where I'm just feeling good. And, she's denying herself of those moments. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up, was just like you said, like, we can choose to thrive. I saw a group of like 90-year-old people in like the cutest little aerobics class on the beach the other day. I drove by, and I mean, this is more on a physical aspect, but I was just looking at them going, that can be any of us. You can thrive into your, the last part of your life if you choose to. Right. And then I walked by and I made a comment. I was like, looking good. and like, they were all laughing and giving me thumbs ups, and they're like, hey, this is hard. Meanwhile, they're just stretching. It was the cutest thing. But anyway, so yeah.
Good for them. And, and again, speaking of older people, like I know people in their 50s and 60s who kind of like, go back to like, oh, well, it's my age. I'm in my 60s already. I'm really not supposed to be going and playing and being active and whatnot. And some people really have this belief that like, I'm getting older and that's what it is. So it's almost like life stops, life gets, you have all these ailments now. This is what's coming to me because I'm getting older.
Well, and there's no difference to, this is the way I am. It's a story that you now create. You're like, it's the new creation of your life. This is what your life now is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Something Shira says before I dropped off sparked something for me, because she said, she had to take responsibility for her own financial situation, something that she blamed on other people. And I talk a lot about taking responsibility with the people that I work with. And I have to specify that taking responsibility is not the same thing as shouldering the blame for something. Mm-hmm. This is not another reason to beat yourself up about the situation that you're in. This is an opportunity to see that there was something that you had a part in creating. We're not denying that, but you didn't know better. You didn't know better. Now you do. And when you know better, you do better. So this is not about turning this back in on yourself and, you know, creating more shame around something like, oh yeah, and it was all my fault. Like, yeah, you can take responsibility for something and literally see it as mostly your fault and still have grace and compassion for yourself and say, that's where I was at the time.
Oh,
That's
Gigi, that is so amazing, because I've been listening to this podcast that Lee told me about, and she literally breaks down the word responsible as response able. I know it's with an I, but you're able to respond. So it doesn't mean that you have to, like you said, shoulder all the blame. But if you're able to respond differently than you would have had you not had the awareness, then hallelujah. Like, right, every day is a chance for us to start over. Every day is a chance for us to question, you know, who we are, what our tendencies are, what we want our destiny to be. But like, that is so important, because I'm going through a certain situation where I'm just like, you know what? I did help create this thing. I never thought about it. I was always like, you, but I'm just like, no, you are totally part of it. And now you're able to respond differently. That's what I love thinking about responsible in that way.
And that's also freeing, you know, and for me too, like anything in the past that has happened to me that I didn't like or didn't feel good, you know, my marriage, right? I mean, for many, many years, it didn't feel good. And it's easy to just blame the other person because they are this and this and that, and they did that. But I take 100% responsibility for somehow having created that and attracting that into my life. And, you know, I don't know, today I, you know, it's easier today to just be grateful for everything that has happened and that is happening, you know, regardless of the circumstances, because we have to, you know, I feel like we need to be in a place where we're at least understanding that, you know, we are where we are today. Nothing that has happened in the past can be changed. Ever. What can change is our thoughts about it. And, you know, if we choose, we can bring it up every single day in our mind. Any one of those millions of things that have happened to us or traumatized us. Or I've, you know, there's a new space now for like, what will be that, because that's over. And it's only now and what will be. And that's exciting. That's pretty exciting stuff.
It's a new view.
Shameless plug for the show that you're watching.
Shameful plug.
I have to say, it really is so incredible. Like, when you think about, you have the power to change anything about you every single minute of every single day. And like, if you get to live until 95 years old, like, that's a lot of time to have to be able to wake up and do something differently. Because I've definitely had those moments where I acted in a certain way, or I said something not so nice to someone, or whatever the situation is, where I've regretted it.
I'd like to buy that.
But I have, and I have woken up differently, and because of that regret, been like, I'm going to do it differently today.
Yeah. And it's never too late. It's never too late. Yeah, there's been things, you know, I'm guilty of, like, having thought that it's too late to whatever it is, you know, to learn another language or to learn a new activity. But, you know, and then a year or two go by and like, wait a minute, but if I started to do that a year or two ago, I would have been proficient. I would have been like doing it, you know, so it's never too late. Don't put an end on things.
100%. Oh, that's so good, Lee. It really is so true, because there were so many times in my life where I'm just like, holy crap. Like, if I started taking care of my finances, lesson to the wise here, young people, start now. You're just in a completely different place, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually, and sometimes physically, and all of it. So
Well, and everybody's meant to go on their own journey too. Like that's how they become who they become. That's how they learn the lessons they need to learn in this lifetime. Like they have to go through their own journey. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Hallelujah to the journey.
Hallelujah.
My sweethearts, I think this is a fabulous place to wrap. If you've enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to let us know if you have any topic requests or questions by commenting below. We'll see you soon, and thank you so much for watching.